This is Stephanie Hannon's audience. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8.
Congrats! It's a boy. But don't get too attached. He won't be living long. What would you do if you were the parent that just heard that news? That's the harsh reality of parents who have children that were born extremely premature. According to the Center for Disease Control, 1 out of every 8 births are a baby born premature. My name is Stephanie Hannon, and I'm an advocate for saving babies that are born premature. Regardless of the emotional stress it puts on families, regardless of the financial burden it may cause, and regardless of the disabilities that the children may grow up to have, these babies deserve to get the utmost best medical care, the best technology available to them, and the best effort from family members and all healthcare staff. Now, emotional stress. It would be so hard to have a baby born premature. I myself have a son that was born at 24 weeks. According to the Mayo Clinic, extremely premature babies are defined as born at 25 weeks or less gestation. A baby is supposed to be in the womb for a max of 40 weeks. That is normal. So imagine how small this underdeveloped baby is coming into the world. I have here a blood pressure cuff that my son wore. I'll pass this around. This just shows how small that it was. Now, when saving these babies, they are on life support for many months. They are breathing through tubes. They have everything hooked up to them. That could be hard. My interview with Crystal Diber, a mother who had twins that were born at 24 weeks, she had a daughter named Harley and a son named Hunter. Her daughter made it, her son did not. I asked her, was it worse grieving the loss of your son, or was it worse watching your daughter struggle for life every single day? She easily delivered a response to me, and she said she'd rather watch her daughter go through mountains of ups and downs than ever have to lose her, because grieving the loss of her son was not something that you grieve and you're over with. It lives with her every single day. Most births, according to a health editor, Sarah Bosley, she reported that most premature births, according to a study done by March of Dimes, can be prevented 75%. Don't you think that Crystal, she would want to be in that 75% of preventing her son's death? I would say most families would think so. Even though the emotional stress is there, it's true. These premature babies come with a financial burden. They're in the hospital for months and months at a time. They're in the hospital for months and months at a time. That accumulates to a lot of money. You can't worry about the medical bills. Mr. James Park, who wrote the article, No More $1 Million Babies, he made a very bold statement that said instead of spending $1 million on one premature baby, we should take that and we should give $1,000 to 1,000 different babies, mothers, for prenatal care. Now, prenatal care. I had the utmost amazing prenatal care and my son was still born premature. That does not guarantee your child won't become born early. Now, finances. Can we put a price tag on a human being's life? I don't believe so. Every child deserves to live, regardless of how much they cost. Normal children meaning they were born on time, can move on in life, become 8 years old, and have a horrific accident. The cost comes. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. We shouldn't spend money on babies that are born premature. We shouldn't give them the chance to live. I don't believe that's the case. They deserve it. Again, no one has a price tag on their life. Price tags. Speaking of that, kids that are born premature oftentimes have disabilities. You can't prevent these disabilities from happening, and they will live with them. They will be expensive. They will struggle in their life. But that doesn't mean that we give up on them. There are people in the Special Olympics. There are people with disabilities every day doing extraordinary things for this world. And those are the people that deserve the chance. They still have jobs. They still continue on with life. So if I can leave you with any information about premature births, is that they can be preventable. They can be hard. You will have to look at this as an opportunity of life. If you ever have the opportunity to see a child who was born premature and see the amazing things that the doctors and nurses and families got to do for them, take that in. Let that sink in. Let that motivate you to continue to support prematurity, support giving these doctors the necessities that they need to help children live. Thank you.
This is Stephanie Hannon, and I'm asking my audience if they have any questions for me.
I have one.
Okay.
The guy who wrote the No More $1 Million Babies.
Yes.
So did he advocate that we shouldn't try to save the lives of any premature babies?
In his writings, that was his demeanor. He felt that we spend too much money on them, that prenatal care could prevent premature births to begin with, and that they weren't, it's not worth saving one baby over $1 million when you can put that money towards preventative efforts. Obviously, I feel that he was misguided, and he might feel differently if he was put in that situation. But that was his thoughts on that.
Good speech.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay.
How long are the preemies in the hospital?
Premature babies are in the hospital. It varies. For instance, my son was in the hospital for 126 days. Depending on the gestation age, usually if they're born a little more on time, say around 28 to 35 weeks, they are usually in for a less amount of time, but those extreme premature babies that are born at 23, 24, 25 weeks are usually in there around 3 months. Any more questions? Okay.
What's the earliest preemie can be born?
Well, premature babies can be born at any time, but viability, which is what the doctors believe that the babies can be born at and survive, they say now it's around 23 to 24 weeks. You are legally allowed to get an abortion at 24 weeks. My son was born at 24 weeks, and he completely looked like a baby. He could survive. So it's a question of whether or not the doctor thinks the baby can be saved, or if they want to put the effort into it right now. There has been cases that a baby as early as 22 weeks has been saved and has made it. Any more questions?
Who makes the call for the baby to be saved or not? Does the parents have an option?
The parents can advocate that they want their child to have all the efforts to be saved, but in the end, many times when babies are born premature, the parents don't know. So many times, such as in my case, the moms are completely knocked out under C-section, emergency C-section, so they don't get to advocate for their child right away. And when the babies come out, it used to be that if their eyes were fused shut, then the baby wasn't viable. They weren't going to try to save it. But now it is still doctor's discretion. I'm hoping, and it seems to be, that doctors are a lot more open-minded about it and trying to save the babies. My son did pass away and they resuscitated him. So that was their effort, but ultimately it is up to the doctors. If you know your baby is going to be born premature, you can advocate for them and stress that you want all efforts to be made to resuscitate your baby if something happens, and you can do that. But again, it's usually up to the doctor.
Thank you.
Good job.
Any more questions?
Good job.
Hi, I'd like to know if anybody in the audience has a critique on Stephanie's speech, if they could give their advice to her for her speech.
Mine's a positive one. I noticed when there was a distraction, you were able to just keep going on. That's really good. Most people can't do that. So good job on avoiding that distraction.
Good eye contact.
Anyone else?
Great flow.
Good posture and vocabulary.
Yes. You seem very wise when you're writing your speeches.
Like you did a
And
good
very informative.
resource.
Yeah, it was really informative.
It was a great speech.
Did an excellent job.
I liked it very much. I think it was very informative. I think you had a lot of key points and gave a lot of examples of what you go through as a parent who has dealt with these issues, and also the medical issues that the doctors have to go through, and the balance that they have to take to whether or not they're going to save these babies. So I think it was very informative. Thank you very much.
Good job.